I'm 94 and I eat almost the same lunch every single day. Not because it's exciting, not because someone told me to. I do it because I got tired of thinking about food. And here's the part people don't like to hear. I didn't lose weight after 55. I just stopped gaining it. Most people my age won't say that out loud. They'll talk about a diet they tried or something they read or what they're cutting out this week. I don't do any of that. I don't count anything. I don't track anything. I don't switch things up to keep it interesting. I eat a simple lunch almost the same way most days of the week. And I've been doing that long enough that my body stopped changing in ways I didn't like. That's it. Now, if you're expecting something impressive, you're going to be disappointed. There's no superfood, no secret ingredient, nothing expensive. You can buy everything I eat at a regular grocery store in under 10 minutes, assuming you don't get distracted like I do in the cereal aisle. I live alone in a small house in Toledo. Same kitchen I've had for years. Same cabinet where I keep my bowls. Same chair I sit in every afternoon. Around noon I make my lunch. It's quiet. No rush, no schedule breathing down my neck. No one asking what's for dinner. And that's probably the first thing that changed. I stopped organizing my day around food. When I sit down with that plate, it looks almost too simple to matter. Some beans, some vegetables, a little bit of fat so it actually fills me up. Nothing fancy. If you walked in, you'd probably think I was eating light. I'm not. I'm eating steady. And steady turned out to be more useful than anything else I tried for the 30 years before this. Because before that, I ate like everyone else. I changed things constantly. I followed what sounded right at the time. Low-fat, high-fiber quick meals, healthy snacks, all of it. I thought variety meant I was doing something good for myself. All it really did was keep me thinking about food all day. What's next? What should I eat? What shouldn't I eat? Am I hungry or just bored? Should I have something small or wait? It never really stopped, and the funny thing is I wasn't eating huge portions. I wasn't sitting down to big meals all day. I was just always eating something. That's a very American habit, by the way. We don't eat meals. We eat moments. A handful here, a bite there. Something quick before we leave. Something small before bed. None of it feels like much until you realize your body never gets a break from it. I didn't notice it at first. It sneaks up on you. You still fit in your clothes just a little tighter. You still feel fine, just a little more tired in the afternoon. You still sleep, just not as deeply. Nothing dramatic. Just enough to ignore. And I ignored it for years. I started buying the kind of food I used to walk past. You know the section. Dry beans, lentils. The bags that sit there forever because nobody's in a rush to cook them. At first, I didn't even have a plan. I just remembered my mother standing over a pot, stirring something that smelled better than it looked. Back then, I thought it was boring. Same thing again, I used to say. She never argued. She just kept cooking it, so I tried it. The first pot wasn't impressive. I added too much of one thing, not enough of another. Ate a bowl, felt full, and then didn't think about it again for a couple days. That used to be my pattern. Try something, then drift. But this time I came back to it. Not because I was disciplined, because it was easy. I didn't have to decide anything. I didn't stand in front of the fridge wondering what made sense. I just reheated a bowl, sat down, and ate. That alone felt different. So I started doing it a few times a week. Lunch mostly. A simple bowl. Lentils one day, black beans another. Sometimes I added vegetables, sometimes I didn't bother. It wasn't pretty, but it was consistent enough that I didn't have to think about it. And that's when something small started to change. Around 3 p.m, I noticed I wasn't reaching for anything. Not because I was trying to avoid it. I just didn't feel that drop anymore. It took me a few days to realize what was missing. That restless feeling. The one that makes you open cabinets without thinking. It wasn't there. Now I didn't suddenly become perfect. There were days I ate too much and felt it. Days I got bored and went back to old habits for an evening. I'm not here to tell you I flipped a switch and everything worked, but something steadier started to show up. I could eat lunch and not think about food for hours, not because I was forcing myself, but because I wasn't being pushed by that empty feeling anymore. And that surprised me, because for years I thought I needed variety to stay interested. I thought changing meals was what kept things healthy. But changing meals was what kept me thinking about food all day. This was different. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't something you'd post anywhere. It didn't feel like progress in the way people like to talk about progress. It just worked quietly in the background. I didn't feel lighter right away. I didn't see anything dramatic in the mirror. But my afternoons felt calmer. My body felt less reactive, like it finally understood what I was doing. And for the first time in a long while, eating didn't feel like something I had to manage every few hours. It felt handled. Not perfect, just handled. And that made it easier to keep going without overthinking it. I drizzled a little olive oil over the bowl without measuring it. For years, I would have avoided that. Anything labeled fat felt like something to stay away from. I bought the low-fat yogurt, the light versions, the things that promised less of something, and somehow left me wanting more. That was the pattern. Eat something that looks right, feel unsatisfied, go back for something else. So this time I did the opposite. I added a little fat back in. Nothing complicated. A splash of olive oil. A small handful of nuts in the morning. Half an avocado when I had one. Not every day, not perfectly, just enough that the meal didn't feel like it was missing something. And the difference wasn't loud. It didn't announce itself. It showed up in what didn't happen. I finished eating and didn't look for anything else. That was new. Before, even after a full meal, there was always that quiet question, what else? Not because I needed more food, but because something about the meal didn't settle things. Now it did. I would sit there, finish my lunch, rinse the bowl, and move on. No second pass through the kitchen. no small extra bite to round it out. And that changed the rest of the day without me trying to change anything else. Around the same time, something else shifted. I stopped eating big dinners, not on purpose. I didn't make a rule. I didn't read it somewhere. I just noticed I wasn't that hungry at night anymore. Lunch started carrying more weight, literally and figuratively. A full bowl in the middle of the day held me steady long enough that by evening I didn't feel the need to sit down to another full meal. Some nights I had a small bowl of soup, some nights an apple, some nights nothing at all, except a cup of tea. And that sounds extreme to people, but it didn't feel that way because I wasn't taking something away. I had already eaten enough earlier. That's the part that makes the difference. Most people try to eat less at night while still eating lightly during the day. That's like asking your body to run all afternoon on half a tank and then telling it to slow down right when it finally gets something. I did the opposite without planning it. I gave my body something real in the middle of the day, and it stopped asking for compensation later. Sleep got easier. Not perfect, just easier. I didn't go to bed feeling full or restless. I didn't wake up thinking about what I ate the night before. And slowly, without anything dramatic, my body stopped shifting in ways I didn't like. My waist didn't tighten further. My energy didn't dip the same way. My afternoons didn't need fixing. It wasn't one change. It was the way the changes stopped fighting each other. And that's when I understood something I wish I had understood much earlier. It wasn't about finding better foods. It was about giving my body a pattern it didn't have to argue with. I set the bowl in the sink and realized I wasn't thinking about what to eat next. That used to be the loudest part of my day. Now it's quiet. At 94, I don't believe in perfect diets. I don't believe in chasing new plans every few months. I've done that. It keeps you busy, but it doesn't keep you steady. What finally worked for me wasn't impressive. It was repeatable. A simple lunch I don't have to rethink. Enough food earlier in the day so I'm not negotiating with myself at night. A few things I stopped avoiding, like healthy fats, because they actually let a meal finish the job. If I had to put it plainly, here's what I learned. Stop eating all day. Give your body a real break between meals. Stop changing things that already work. Most of us don't fail because we don't know enough. We fail because we keep replacing something good with something new. Eat a meal you can come back to without thinking, not because it's perfect, but because it's reliable. And maybe the most important one, especially as you get older, your body doesn't handle confusion the way it used to. It responds better to consistency than to effort. That's the part people don't like. Consistency isn't exciting. You can't show it off. Nobody compliments you for eating the same thing 3 days in a row. But it works. And working matters more than being interesting. I still eat different foods here and there. I still have dinner with family, still enjoy things I didn't cook. This isn't a rule book. It's just a way to keep my everyday life from turning into something I have to constantly fix. Because at some point you realize you don't need a better system. You need a simpler one you can live with. If you found something in this story that made you stop and think, that's usually a good sign you're closer to what actually works for you than you think. And if you want more like this, stories about life advice, stories about advice from grandparents, stories about life lessons, go ahead and subscribe. Not because there's anything new waiting for you, but because sometimes the most useful things are the ones we forgot to keep.